Okay, good evening, fans from around the world. Welcome to the latest episode of our podcast, where we are diving deep into the potential sacking of Sergio Checo Perez from Red Bull Racing. To break down the reasons and implications of this move, I have Mustafa, and Beldo.
Okay.
Beldo should be joining us soon.
Yeah.
Mustafa,
Also,
you're
I have a
welcome.
lager here to not to celebrate to mourn Checo.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
sorry, Checo.
That's
Sorry, Checo.
fantastic.
We love you. It's very cold too from the refrigerator. So
Oh, absolutely.
but let me be real.
Yeah,
I feel sorry. I feel bad for Checo. I also feel bad for Sainz, who's a great driver and maybe losing a seat. No, he is losing a seat to Ferrari,
yes,
but
yes,
maybe it's a
yes.
blessing. So today we're going to talk about Checo will most likely be stepping down, or maybe not, because you know how Formula One is.
Oh,
There are
yeah.
rumors for months, and then nothing ever
Nothing
happens.
ever happens. Yes, I
Yeah.
agree with
So
you.
I'll start by saying that perhaps maybe Checo will still stay for a little while because he brings lucrative contracts from South America to Red Bull. But one thing is for sure, the Red Bull car is getting slower. And now, even if you're a number two for Verstappen, you need to drive well enough to take away points from other people because Mercedes is getting so good and McLaren is great. And one of these teams, it's not a stretch to say that they could put some pressure on Verstappen. All it takes is for Verstappen to fall out of a race. Let's say he has a punctured tire, and one of these guys gains 25 points, and they're still gaining 7 points on him every week. So what I'm saying now is that maybe Checo will make it to the end of this year. But next year, they can't afford to have him. If they have him next year, I don't care how good Verstappen is as a driver. It's going to be almost impossible for him to win. He'd have to drive like Superman because you still need to have a number two driver who cuts and takes points from the other guys. What do you think, Falabi? Yeah.
Absolutely, a spot on moves.
Yeah, yeah.
First of all, if you look at the gap is beginning to widen. It's a
Yeah.
whooping 137 points. Verstappen is on
Can I say something?
255.
Can I say something?
Checo is on
Yeah.
118.
Can I
Yes,
say
go ahead.
something?
Go
They're
ahead.
showing
Yes.
every week they show a graph, and it's not that the graph is closing. It's already apparent the other teams are closing in, and the momentum is going to carry them ahead. So, like when you can look at a radar and tell if someone's going to pass someone. That's how slow Red not slow, but that's how much of a performance deficit Red Bull is beginning to get. Sorry, continue.
Yes, absolutely. You are right. And momentum is very, very important. Now they've handed the initiative to the improving teams like Mercedes and McLaren, like you
Yeah.
uh,
Mm.
alluded to. And with that massive gap, it has to improve. And that brings the Hungarian Grand Prix into perspective. It has to, it's a make or break for him. If he doesn't improve in the Hungarian race, then they might have to take a decision mid-season. They might have to
Yeah,
take a decision mid-season because if he continues to lose points, it's going to affect the constructors at the end of the season. So it's
yeah,
important for them to realize that. And one more thing, even though Perez seems to bring in 30 odd $1 million in sponsorship, if you look at the revenue of Red Bull as a team, it's over $150 million. It's a drop in the ocean for Red Bull. And if he
yes. And
continues
also,
to,
very quickly,
yes,
winning the constructors champions brings you 150 million. That's more important. I'm not saying that they should win, but he should at least give it a try. Continue.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you look at what he brings in vis-a-vis what they would win by winning the constructors championship, then it's a financial risk to continue to allow him to race
Yeah.
and lose. I mean, look
And
at
once
his
again,
performance in the last race. He didn't even make it out of Q1. That's woeful.
no, no.
So those
And
kind
once
of things
again,
have to be put in perspective, really.
I blame Horner. Let's go back to Horny Horner. Okay, this he's tearing this team apart. He earlier on in the year with the allegation in which it's clear that he sent something inappropriate to a lady. Then after he was cleared, he suspended her. Then he doubled down, and then just 2 weeks ago, he told Max Verstappen's father, "No, you can't drive our parade car, but I can drive it. You can't drive it." So it looks like and I'm going to say it, his narcissism counteracts his brilliance as a team leader. It's kind of like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He's a good leader, but at the same time, he's a bad leader because he can't get rid of this narcissistic, controlling behavior. So I think he's
Yes.
keeping Checo because he doesn't want to admit that he made a mistake, and partly not just because of the income. He likes people around him who support him all the time, whether he's right or wrong. He likes yes men. He doesn't like to be challenged, and that is something that he's going to have to learn how not to do because this is a business, and you can't and then they're now underperforming, and then they may even cost Verstappen a championship next year because he doesn't have a proper teammate. What are your thoughts? Yeah, yeah,
I agree with you. You're absolutely right. He likes people
yeah,
that are like robots. They just do
yeah,
what he wants. And it's not a secret that he gave Checo Perez that contract because of Checo Perez's loyalty to him during the scandal. So, and basically, if you look at it, they've put in a contract clause in that his contract, which says that if he's more than 100 points behind Verstappen, he can break the contract mid-season. So
yeah,
it's a reality that it can happen. So he needs to
yeah.
improve, starting with the
He needs to improve, yeah. But I don't see
Hungarian
it
race.
happening because I don't see it. I don't think he's fit, and I just don't think he has it this year. So my prediction is that in an emergency situation, they'll bring Ricciardo.
Oh yeah,
Ricciardo drove with Max before,
yeah.
and it got very ugly. They were crashing into each other and fighting each other. And also, so Ricciardo is also someone that is close to
Honor.
Horner.
Yes,
So
I agree with
in
you.
the short term,
That's a good
and
point.
also he's good enough that he's a competent driver. Even though he's losing to Sonoda, he's Sonoda is very good. So Ricardo is a competent driver, and I promise you, he can get some points out of that car. At least some points.
I agree with you too.
Now,
I think the most likely candidate is Daniel Ricciardo. The
yeah,
Liam
in the short
Lawson
term,
guy is a little too much of a precocious young talent who lacks experience. So
yeah.
it might be a gamble. And Yuki Tsunoda, I don't think Red Bull is keen on him. But certainly Daniel Ricciardo stands out. He's got marketing appeal and he seems to be in good terms with Christian
And
Horner.
also he's from Australia. These this Formula One is everybody from Australia or Britain. Those are the
Yeah,
or Holland. Those are the
yeah,
favorites of Formula One.
yeah.
So he
But,
has
but,
that
but
sort of
racing
clout.
as a sport is more like a British thing, really.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But a lot of the drivers are like I think Ricardo is who else is Piastri? No, Piastri is I
Piastri is
think there's a few
Australian, I think. Piastri is
Australia. Yeah, so
Australian.
so what I'm saying is that there are a few Australians, but it's mostly Brits.
Brits,
Australia,
yes.
mostly Brits. Yeah,
Yeah,
but you
but
have to
British
remember
colonies basically.
Australia is Britain's cousin.
Yeah, sure, 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 sure.
All right. So,
Yeah, so
but let's say Sonoda. So I heard something that Sonoda, I think it's a cultural thing. He's Japanese, and also he doesn't bow down to anybody. He's like a wild
yeah.
child,
You know the
and
way
I don't think he.
the way Asians are, they're like robots. They
Yeah,
just they're performance oriented. They're not
yeah.
sentimental in what
So
they
he,
do.
and also I hear that I think it's a Honda engine for and he's more of a Honda person. I think the Japanese. So I don't know. If Honda should just go ahead and have their own team. He would be a superstar on that team and make a lot of money for them.
Oh,
But
absolutely. I think Beldo is in now.
okay, yeah. So welcome, Beardon. Yeah. So
Yeah, good evening, guys.
so we were talking about. So we'll just start from where we are now. So what I'm saying is that Ricardo is probably the best choice for short term if it's this year because Ricardo is a competent driver. He may not be that great, but he can handle. And also he has a working relationship with Horner and Red Bull before, and he's worked with Verstappen before. So he'd be a good for short term, just to end up this year if they have to change it. Also, Lawson did a time trial and he didn't do well in it. Continue, Beardon. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, you're talking about who? I didn't quite get that.
Ricardo. So I'm saying that Ricardo,
Okay.
in the short term, Ricardo would probably be the best choice for this year if they had to replace Checo because he's a competent driver. He's been there before. He's driven with Red Bull, and he was actually competing very well with Verstappen. So he may have lost a little bit here and there, but I think, and also he has a good working relationship with Horner. Horner knows him; they're kind of friends, that type of thing. And he's not as salty as Sonoda is a wild child. Sonoda doesn't listen, won't listen to, he's not going to listen to anybody, not even Horner. And Liam, what's his name? Lawson, he didn't do well in his time trial. They gave him an opportunity and they said he did not do
He's
well.
probably too
So what,
inexperienced.
yeah. So what do you think, Beardon? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right with your feedback. I think
Yeah.
most logically, Ricardo is the best bet for Red Bull.
For sure.
Looking
Yeah.
at looking at the performance he has delivered this season since coming back into Formula One, and despite driving a underperforming Williams car, you see that he tries to get the maximum performance of the car, maximum points of the car, and one of the things that has
Oh,
been
hold on. So who does Ricardo drive for? I thought he drove for with Red Bull with Sonoda.
no. He drives with Williams with Logan Sargent.
Okay, so who drives with Sonoda?
Yuki, I can't remember now. Let me
Let me see.
check.
I think you might have got it
Yeah,
mixed up, but let me check. But anyway, continue.
maybe
I'll
I think
check.
I might have mixed it up.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Don't tell me that for the first time I beat the Whiz Kid. I'm kidding you. I think Ricardo is with
No, Yuki's teammate is Pierre Gasly, no?
oh
Right?
Gasly. Okay, okay,
Oh,
okay.
Gasly, yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
Gasly, yeah. So you still got it right. You're still the Whiz Kid, yeah. Yeah.
No, no,
So
no,
no,
I'm wrong.
Ricardo is with Red Bull.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Ricardo
knew.
is
Yeah.
Sonoda.
Yeah. So Ricardo's a Red Bull, yeah. And he's
Yeah.
losing to Sonoda, but still, he's still a good enough driver. It's not a disgrace to lose to Sonoda. Sonoda is good. Yeah. So continue. Sorry. Yeah. I think he paused. Are you there, Falabi? What are your thoughts? Yeah.
Yes, I'm here. So,
Hmm.
like you rightly mentioned, of the three people that have been touted to replace Checo, if there's a mid-season change, Ricardo fits the bill perfectly. Like you rightly
Yeah.
mentioned, his working relationship with Honor, and then of course his experience, with the Red Bull team. Yuki Tsunoda may not be able to work with the tutelage and the leadership of
Yeah.
Christian
Yeah.
Horner,
Yeah.
and the Lawson
Yeah.
guy is far too inexperienced
Yeah.
to to do anything, and this thing continues to go on. If it goes on in the Hungarian race, I have a feeling they might have to take a decision, because both Helmut Marko and Christian Horner have revealed that Perez contract includes clauses. Maybe they had a feeling that this kind of thing could happen.
Yeah.
Just a week after signing that contract, he had a very woeful result in the next race.
Yeah.
He's been struggling since a 2-year extension, making him one of the few drivers to decline in performance after a contract renewal.
I
You
think he's
know,
distracted. Perez's dad was kidnapped 3 years ago for ransom. Mexico is kind of crazy out there.
yes,
So
it's like
maybe,
Colombia.
yeah, I think he's distracted and he misses home or he's at home, but that place is crazy. So is Beardum back with us? Yeah.
No, not yet.
Okay. So we're gonna switch pace a little bit. So I'm hearing that um they're thinking twice about bringing Antonelli's supposed to go to Mercedes, but Toto Wolff is saying, "Hold on, let's wait. Let's wait too." In other words, I think he doesn't feel Antonelli's ready yet, and he may even,
Yes.
yeah. And there's some other options he has. I know one of the options that they're saying is maybe Piastri, or if not Piastri, maybe one of the guys from Haas later on. I'm trying to remember who else they said, but Piastri has been holding out because I think Piastri wants a seat at either Red Bull or at Mercedes.
Mercedes.
So it's sort of, you just waiting. You know when they say Hail Mary, Hail Mary, that's the last minute prayer.
Yes,
Maybe
yes,
something will happen because
yes,
they don't, because Antonelli may not be brought up, and Antonelli hasn't been doing well in F2. But the problem they're saying is that maybe Mercedes wants to give Sainz a 1 year deal, but Sainz wants a balance. He wants more years. But my thing is, even if it's 1 year, you're still in a top three car. That's my point. What are your thoughts? Yeah, yeah,
sure, absolutely. Mercedes seems to be having mixed feelings towards Kimi
yeah,
Antonelli. Initially, because of his talent and his ability, they had already, taking that decision, off
yeah,
camera, that he would replace Lewis Hamilton. But recently, he's been having some topsy-turvy time in F2. He's had some
yeah.
inconsistencies in his performance. So I think they actually want to like stop and pause and have more time to evaluate his readiness. Toto Wolff feels he's not quite ready. And Mercedes' improving performance trajectory means they are now potentially championship contenders, really.
By
At the
next
time,
year, yeah.
yeah, at the time when they were thinking about this decision, everything was going south for them. But things seem to have improved. The two drivers are doing well. The car seems to be performing very, very well. So the stakes are high again. So they have to like take their time before taking that decision. But
Yeah.
if you look at Carlos Sainz, on the other hand,
Mhm.
once he was a straightforward candidate for various teams,
Yeah.
but his position is complicated now, shifting the dynamics in the drivers' market, which is like a conundrum. You never know what is going to happen next,
Okay.
really.
Yeah. So Bearden is back. So Bearden, what
Okay.
I was saying is that Antonelli now is they're having second thoughts of bringing him to Mercedes. I have a suspicion that Mercedes wanted to bring Sainz for 1 year and let them continue building Antonelli and then bring him. But I think Sainz will not sign with Mercedes because he wants multi-years. But if I were Sainz, I would just take that seat because you'll still stay alive and worry about a long term with a top 3 or top 5 team in the future. What's your thought, Bjorn? Yeah. He's in. I think the rain is messing him up. Yeah. Could you send me a text?
I don't know why Mercedes are having a. I don't know why Mercedes is having a double. I don't know whether they're having a doubt with Kimi Antonelli. I think some of the feedbacks that Kimi Antonelli has raised in Mercedes have quite been very optimistic. Looking at when he goes into the Formula 2 car, they see how he gained 8 seconds with regards to other teams, and there's no DRS. So I think they're quite impressive. No head of them saying they are questioning bringing him in. Maybe I think one of the questions or doubts might be that he's way too young. But one thing Mercedes
he's too young, and that's why, for example, I think they tried to develop him too quickly. We know that even though he's not doing
make the mistake. They don't want to make the mistake of losing him to another team because that's what Red Bull.
Yeah, but they have Russell. Russell is young. Russell can be good for 10 years. 10 years.
Yeah, but I think it's best to have, if you get a driver that has the potential of Max Verstappen, why don't you take the gamble and
okay, but here's the difference. When Verstappen was 17, he was 10 times better than Antonelli is now. I think Antonelli might be slightly overhyped now because, and also Ocon is good. And I'm hearing that they also want thinking about Ocon for the future. Have you heard that, Mercedes?
Esteban Ocon, the man living is from Alpine.
He's with Haas, but I think that Mercedes thinks that in the future they can get him from Haas. Yeah.
As a Mercedes fan, I think it's better we just go with Kimi Antonelli.
I think they should go with Sainz, man. Sainz, if they want for next year, because they can win the championship next year. If they have Sainz and Russell, they can win, and just give Sainz a 2-year contract, and in 2 years Antonelli can start.
Well, the good thing is once you have someone like Sainz with Russell, they begin to start competing with each other and not driving as a team. But if you have someone like Kimi Antonelli, you know that he's going to be the number 2.
Yeah, but Russell's doing that with Hamilton, and I think that if you have Russell and Sainz, I still think Russell will win because Sainz is a smarter driver than just about anybody, but Russell has more speed. And a guy like Sainz, he will chop the other opponents and take points from them, and it will put Mercedes to win the constructors and the drivers' championship. And Mercedes has a history. They had Lewis Hamilton racing the boy Rosberg. So my thing is that and if there's one driver who doesn't care about competition, it's Russell. He's not afraid to compete with anybody. But then I hear what you're saying though, and that's the sad thing about Sainz. He's too good to go to any top 3 teams because the other drivers don't want to battle with him. What are your thoughts, Ricciardo? Yeah.
I think I agree. Everybody wants the number 1 and the number 2, and that's why you see the likes of parents getting the nod and support from his teammate, Max Verstappen. Nobody wants to be driving and crashing with each other like when Hamilton.
But here's the thing about Sainz. Sainz won't crash. Sainz is very smart. Sainz is unlike Verstappen. I know you hate Verstappen. Unlike Verstappen, Sainz will let you pass him if he knows that there's nothing he can do. He's a sort of a gentleman when he drives. Wouldn't you say so? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. He's not one of those drivers that relatively go into crashes or look to.
But the thing about Sainz is that he's very good with strategy. Like he's better with strategy than Leclerc. Leclerc has more speed, I think. What do you think? Yeah.
I think most strategy has to come from the team, but definitely there are some calls that the drivers tend to make.
Okay, but here's the thing. Look what happened with Norris. Critical mistakes in strategy because he's indecisive. Remember Russell overrode his engineers and made them give him intermediates a couple of weeks ago. Remember that?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, or even Verstappen would be like, oh, there's something wrong with this car right now. But I hear what you're saying. And it was Verstappen and Sainz made the best decision which is what helped Verstappen come second, like stopping a lap early. Yeah.
So, some of the things with good drivers is that they're driving, they're already anticipating the projections of the weather, the projection of the tire, and when to pit. So most times you see some drivers saying, "Why haven't we pit why haven't we picked? The tires are gone. I'm moving slow. The time is dropping. So
Yeah,
sometimes they need to push the strategy team to happen before
yeah,
it's meant to happen. So I get what the point you're
yeah.
trying to make.
And also, let's talk about that kid. What's his name? Hadja, who also tested for Haas. He's also been, some teams are looking at him too. Is it Mercedes or not Mercedes, Aston Martin or somebody who he's also on the market. There's a lot of guys who are on the future market. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah,
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 so I think in the world of Formula One, there are so many drivers. Even
yeah.
Nico Hulkenberg had to leave Formula One for I think 1 or 2 years before he
Yeah,
came back with Haas team. There's this Van Dron, Stoffel Van Dron also
yeah.
used to drive in Formula One, but now he's not driving in the Formula E League. So definitely there are still a couple of drivers in and around the space looking for teams and looking for how to come in. And also there's a couple of young guys graduating from Formula 3 and Formula 2 also looking to branch into Formula 1.
Yeah, and
So
then
it's
we've
a whole
got
lot of
Bierman, Oliver
competition.
Bierman.
Yeah,
Uh,
so so it's a whole lot of competition and very little team on the grid. So you see the likes of your favorite driver, Checo, getting the seat and underperforming. You beg the question why Red Bull has not asked him.
Hey,
Afolabi's best friend.
Checo, the minister of Donald Trump's security. Very poor
He's
defense.
Afolabi's best friend now. You know that Afolabi likes him a lot.
Yeah, Afolabi, like the minister of defense. They need to hire him to stop people from shooting Trump. Let me stop. But anyway, so yeah, so this is interesting. So let's go to one last thing. We're going to talk about some technical stuff, and it's clear with I wanted to ask you, Biden, uh, the thing that's so good about Nui is that he makes sure that the suspension and the chassis and the aerodynamics is one thing, whereas Mercedes takes them to all different parts of the places and puts them together. But that doesn't help and that's what put Mercedes back for a long time. I wanted to ask you, how does McLaren do something similar to what Red Bull used to do, where you build starting with the chassis and everything else builds connected to that or around it, and or does McLaren? What about Aston Martin? Is Aston Martin more like Mercedes? Or they just build things in isolation and try to piece them together? Yeah.
Yeah, I can speak for Aston Martin. I think knowing that they get their engine from Mercedes and they can also do the kind of piecing together, the strategy Mercedes adopts and
Yeah,
make
and it doesn't
piece
work well for
and back
ground effect.
together.
It
It
doesn't work well
doesn't
for ground effect.
really work well with ground effect, but at the beginning,
They're both
Please.
in Britain. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Beard. Okay. You can go beard. Even if your video is off, don't worry about it. Yeah.
All right. So I think in general we just have to see that for Andre Newey, most likely the team he will probably be moving to is McLaren because of he wants to be closer to home and not to his
Yeah.
family, to make his marriage work and
But
kind
also,
of
I want to. Sorry to interrupt, but Aston Martin is also there in Britain too, so there has to be
yes,
more than. Yeah.
yes, they're a British team too, so it's quite competitive. But I think in terms of historical relevance and in terms of someone building a car from scratch and making it a world championship car, I think Aston Martin would be a team that Andre Lewis should go to because
Yeah. Yeah.
they've never been world champions
Yeah.
before.
And also, and they'll have a more powerful engine than McLaren. Who
Yes,
does
as well as
McLaren's
they
engine?
have. No, it's McLaren that does the engine.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
and also from what I'm hearing, many people are praising these two guys. We have to speak better about Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll has been beating Alonso in qualifying, and both Lance Stroll and Alonso, their team thank them for working together and giving them feedback, and their car is beginning to improve a little bit anymore. So it's a professional team. People are saying that Alonso and Stroll are the most professional on the grid right now. They don't argue, and the engineer said that when they talk to them separately, when Lance Stroll says this is the problem and Alonso says this is the problem, they're saying the same thing, even though they're speaking differently. So it means that they're both analyzing and they're being professional. What's your thought, Biodun? Yeah.
I think yes. Funny enough, that is one thing that we don't really see or hear of any incidents or grudges between them in
No,
general.
no. And can I say something? Sorry I didn't cut in front of you. You know what Alonso said? He said, now is not the time for us to argue. We have to keep our head down and figure out what's wrong with the car and keep moving. So he's taking a detached point of view in which this is problem solving. It's like if tomorrow, if we have our TV show and we're behind our competition, we can't jump in front of them. We have to figure out what small steps we can take to get better and look at the long term. Sorry, continue, Biodun.
Yeah. So I think also another part is the age difference between both drivers. Alonso is an experienced driver, is a world champion, and he knows getting into all these petty scuffles is actually
He's been there. He got into it with Lewis Hamilton when they were younger.
Yeah, so he has outgrown some of those pettiness, and I'm sure so that kind of also he has improved and aged like a fine red wine. So I think that's why
very
I see
good.
a more collaboration.
So my money is on Aston Martin, but it's very close. It could also be McLaren.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Falabi?
Basically, what I just wanted to talk about, I think Carlos Sainz could actually sign a temporary or a medium-term contract with Mercedes while Mercedes continues to evaluate the development of Antonelli.
It's possible, but it won't be this year. It would have to be next year.
Yes, possibly. And then if Checo eventually leaves, I think it could be a financial appeal for teams like Alfa Romeo or Alpine because of what he brings in. And since they're smaller teams, his experience
but he's not going to
help him there.
Oh yeah, Checo will do that. And also let's remember that if Sainz may still end up at Red Bull, especially if Verstappen goes. Oh, they're also saying that. Oh, I forgot. This is what I was going to tell you, Bjorn. They're saying that Toto Wolff is also holding out because he will take Verstappen over Antonelli. So he's hoping that he can toast Verstappen.
Yeah. That is the only justification of why.
He wants to toast Verstappen, and it's very possible because the Red Bull car is dropping in performance too much.
Of course. It's possible.
Okay, so we'll let Bjorn. You can end on that thought, and then we'll close up very quickly. So Bjorn, you guys will be around for Nigeria United tomorrow, right?
Yeah, sure. What's the time?
For what?
We're doing a new show on Nigerian football once every 2 weeks called Nigeria United. Tomorrow, like around 7 or 8. Yeah, if you can make it.
All right.
Okay, cool. But I'll text you about it later. We're doing this in front of F1, but we'll edit it later. Continue, Bjorn. So we'll end on that about maybe the chance of Verstappen going to Mercedes within 2 years. Yeah,
it's realistic, but as a Mercedes fan, I don't want that. I don't want that for my team.
Man, you got to get over this, man. You got to get over this. It's not about
that for my team. I don't want.
You have to get over that.
I don't want us to sign the devil. Yeah. Let us build a young kid like Mbappe for Real Madrid.
But no matter what you say about Verstappen, here's the thing about Verstappen. He can do 60 laps and just do the same time. He has high levels of concentration. He's a very brilliant driver. Yes, he's a dirty driver, but that's his ideology. So not dirty, but he's non-committal. He's like,
he's not
if you try to pass me,
he's a defensive driver.
No, but not only defensive.
Funny enough, it's not that I don't like Max. So funny enough, I like Max. I'm envious of Max. He's a very good driver. He's a wonderful driver.
Yeah. Also, what he's doing this year is unbelievable. At the level he's driving with that car, it's unbelievable. But I know what you're saying. It's like saying that Wayne Rooney will come and play for Chelsea. No way.
And in Formula One, I think in Formula One, there is no diehard driver that sticks to one team to the end of his career. They always tend to switch and move in between teams. Unlike football, you know that
but I think there's too much because think about it, because Toto Wolff already wants him to come to his team. Man. Yeah, Formula One is not diehard. Yep. So, guys, thank you very much. So you guys will be back on Thursday probably for Formula One technical, where you look at the technical issues around the Hungarian race. We want to thank our fans and supporters. The channel is going well. We had 11,000 on our Lewis Hamilton post. So we love Hamilton fans. Like, subscribe, and join on to Formula One Fanatics. Thank you guys very much. Get some rest. It's midnight in West Africa right now. Good night. Okay. It's only